If I'm gonna get distracted and doom scroll, I might as well just commit to whatever I put in the watch later, because that's what it's for, right?
Examples of the Mandela
I watched
effect.
some Watch Mojo thing. I don't know if it was this one.
Time to bring her in, George!
I remember that man with the yellow hat! I remember it, so it must be different now!
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood always began with its titular host singing its theme song.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor.
This much is true. But that well-known opening line, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood," not so much. Although it doesn't scan quite as well, it's actually a beautiful day in this neighborhood. But how did we all miss this when we've heard the song so many times in our youth?
It's one hell of a day.
Because you trust yourself too much. When you should've listened to this crazy guy singing at you, coming through your front door.
Fruit of the Loom's logo. Fruit of the Loom is a clothing company renowned the world over. Its logo is similarly famous, showing fruit spilling out of a cornucopia. Or at least that's what many of us remember it as being. In fact,
would assume.
The logo doesn't contain a cornucopia at all. Okay, so maybe an old logo has it, right? Nope. Versions of the logo dating back over 100 years lack the cornucopia too.
I don't recall it ever being there, and I guess I was just right. That's how I'm gonna choose to view it.
References to Monopoly Man's monocle. The board game Monopoly features a memorable mascot named Rich Uncle Pennybags. People are divided on whether or not he wears a monocle. Reality seems to favor that he doesn't, but our memories of this childhood game can't be false, right?
Ace Ventura, pet detective.
He definitely has a monocle at some point.
You must be the Monopoly guy.
Heck, even Ace Ventura made the mistake, and he seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. Could it be as simple as conflating the Monopoly Man with other rich fat cat mascots like Mr. Peanut? Or has someone bought up all our memories?
Neither.
Number 17, Sex in the City. This much-loved HBO show and subsequent movies follow a group of 4 women and their love lives in New York City. Although some would swear up and down it's called Sex in the City.
You might be
its
remembering
title is
these
actually
logos
Sex
all wrong,
and
but he's
the
right
City.
there!
Now, the easy explanation is that people tend to slur the word "and" a lot, so that Sex and the City becomes Sex in the City.
Really?
However, there also seems to be plenty of merch and newspaper headlines bearing the word "in" instead of "and", so what gives? Did reality go out for too many drinks with the girls? Number 16.
Well, you see, they didn't used to have spell check in the printing press, so mistakes could be made. Okay, next, this Mojo motherfucker's gonna tell me they actually didn't love Lucy. Yeah, right.
Real-life husband Desi Arnaz had a particularly memorable catchphrase. "Lucy, you got some splaining to do." Or did he?
Lucy, I love you!
You got some splaining to do!
While Ricky frequently said the word "splain" in various contexts, he never says this exact quote, despite the supposed line being cited all over pop culture.
Lucy, you got some splaining to do.
It could just be a summation of Ricky's frustration with Lucy's antics distilled into a catchphrase that never was.
What the hell?
Oscar Mayer.
I hate when they offer reasonable solution in the video that I disagree with them making. Oh, I don't remember this wiener cycle quite at all, actually. I'm not a weirdo.
Oscar Mayer wiener. That is what I truly like to be.
Old news clippings can even be seen spelling it M-E-Y-E-R. So, is it just a case of the alternate spelling being more common, leading to misspellings?
My baloney has a first name, it's O-S-C-A-R. My baloney has a second name, it's M-A-Y-E-R.
You'd think with one of its jingles having lyrics literally spelling out the company's name, though, it would be impossible to get it wrong. There are those who swear the lyrics have changed since they were younger.
Well, they had to update the lyrics to reflect the new spelling, dumbass!
Film, the villainously vain queen famously possesses a magic mirror. To call on it, she says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" Except that's not the line in the Disney movie.
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
In Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the queen says, "Magic mirror on the wall." This is a strange case because the original fairy tale has her say "mirror, mirror." It's just the Disney version that's different.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, is this not the most perfect kingdom of them all?
This could simply be a case where people are conflating the fairy tale and the Disney film, but even so, it's odd that something as popular and well-known as Snow White wouldn't be better remembered.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
Number 13, Curious George's Tale. Curious George is a monkey.
I'm curious now. It looks like I'm the curious one after all, George.
Perfect kite flying weather, huh?
Given how long
Why does that man sound like a little boy and not have a yellow hat on?
Realize that he doesn't have a tail.
Actually,
After
that
all,
might answer itself.
George is a monkey, and most monkeys have tails. As a
Curious.
Could the common confusion between the two sets of primates be the root of this Mandela effect? Or
Probably. Do you think the man-drawn monkey could have maybe just been drawn wrong by man? I could have sworn that was Leonardo da Vinci. Isn't that his code? He's a goat, not a monkey. True.
Number 11. Hello, Clarice. When Dr. Hannibal Lecter greets Agent Clarice Starling from his cell, a lot of us remember him saying, "Hello, Clarice," in that chilling tone. After all, that's the quote that everyone references all over pop culture.
Yeah, I actually believe this one.
Yet, in reality, Dr. Lecter never says this quote in The Silence of the Lambs, even if he approximates it in the sequel.
Is this Clarice? Well, hello, Clarice.
He says good morning to her, and even good evening, Clarice, but never that infamous quote. So, are people simply misquoting the film because hello works at all hours of the day?
Probably. I mean, all of these are just quoting stuff wrong. It's not Howie's fault. He's not an encyclopedia. He's just a deal-making man.
With its image plastered on practically everything Pokemon, you'd think that its features would be burned into the brains of generations of adults and kids alike. But there are those who are convinced that Pikachu's tail, like its ears, used to have black on the end. Because of this misconception,
those people
there
are
plenty of images
wrong. I'm a simple man with simple desires, and I want to meet that mouse.
Number 9, Looney Tunes.
I just want to be his friend.
Into some deep cuts now.
The 1960s? That's not that deep. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Looney Tunes is a franchise of Warner Brothers cartoons dating back to the early days of animation. Its characters are iconic to the medium and are practically as well known as those by rivals like Disney.
What's up, Doc?
Yeah, you guys know that little guy next to Bugs Bunny. Who was that?
As Looney Tunes is, there are some who believe its name's spelling is no longer the same. Some people remember its name as being Toons, T-O-O-N-S, as in cartoons, while the current spelling appears to be Tunes, T-U-N-E-S.
Now that I feel like it was always like this, but why is it like
Oh,
this?
you treacherous trickster.
The fact that its sister series is called Merry Melodies lends some weight to the musical spelling, and the fact that the words are homophones does mean confusion would be easy. Still,
well, it was the 60s. I'm not going to defend him, it was wrong, but...
Walt Disney's Disneyland.
I know she said phones. Ironic. Actually, Tinkerbell doesn't care about the Second Amendment anymore. Unless I'm misremembering. Maybe this isn't a Mandela effect, but if it's that black and white, dude, maybe it's just f***ing old and you're misremembering. User error. Oh, do you remember this iconic quote? And it's just like, hello. Like, okay, yeah, I guess I remember it.
Never actually spoken in the movie.
Play it again, Jeffrey. You remember who said that? Iconic. They really didn't say stuff like that in movies yet when they were invented. Before they were invented, I guess.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Call that boy really fell off. Boy.
Scotty, beam me up.
Number 5. Nelson Mandela's death. Gives the Mandela
I thought I could have sworn he was still alive. You can't put this on the list. Isn't this why it's called that?
Even Mandela's actual death in 2013 from a respiratory infection did little to quell the
He didn't make the top of the list? I'm so confused. They just personally aren't that impressed with the actual Mandela effect.
It's plausible that people have merely altered the quote to be more general.
Like a box of chocolates.
Mama doesn't say the quote like that in flashbacks.
I am your father.
Everyone who's ever heard of Star Wars knows this quote. Yet in the actual film, Darth Vader says to Luke, "No, I am your father." Countless pop culture references and legions of dedicated Star Wars fans still manage to somehow get this quote wrong.
You killed my father.
No, Buzz. I am your father.
So what's the deal? Have we all just misquoted it because Luke provides more context? Or have some of us come to this reality from far, far away?
Have some of us come?
Luke, I am your father.
This isn't the only Star Wars example of the Mandela effect either. Just check out C-3PO's leg sometime.
His what? What's wrong with his leg?
Movie about a genie.
He better not have had a big...
Those legs sometime.
I thought he was gonna have a big
Number
cock
2,
behind him or something.
Starring Sinbad, Shazam. Quick question. Who starred in the 90s movie about a genie?
I am Kazam.
Tequila oatmeal.
Racism. That's what Jesse Jackson was talking about.
Others also believe this non-existent film starring Sinbad was called Shazam rather than Kazam, which they claim is something else entirely. Are people conflating multiple movies in their minds? If only we had a genie to magically solve this mystery.
Who the fuck are you? You're not Iron Man. Who is this guy?
The easy explanation is that names that end in Steen are far more common than those that end in Stain. And a lot of us were exposed to the stories as kids and misread or misheard the titles multiple times. Yeah. While some of us can shake it off, for others, this is a stain on reality.
Oh man, she said the thing!
Clip from Watch Mojo.
Thank you, Mojo. I don't want to watch it anymore, but thank you. If you're watching this as a YouTube video later, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, helps me out a lot. I always appreciate it, dude. If you want to watch something else, here's some other videos I've made recently around my head. Peace out, dudes. See you tomorrow. Have a good night.